Hey there, fans of Brotherly Love Wrestling. It is I, Vic Delicious.
Philly's own, the Mecca here.
It is the real McCoy, J.D.X. Justin D. Xavier. And
it's your man, CD, the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend RJ City.
Hey there, Brotherly Love Wrestling. Bill Carr here.
Hey everyone, this is two-time guest Wheeler Yuta.
Two bozos from Philadelphia flapping their gums about pro wrestling this, pro wrestling that.
Which is not that unique in the grand scheme of things yet.
You are in for a treat because you're tuned in to Brotherly Love Wrestling.
Philadelphia, are you ready?
No! They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome, everybody, to Brotherly Love Wrestling. And on the show this week, from Labor of Love, we have Billy Avery. Billy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, obviously, we corresponded on Instagram after we had the rep on. And then we actually went to Labor of Love right before Mischief Night. I think it was October 26th was the exact date. And me and Joe, on our show all the time, we say how we feel like
We need wrestling close.
yeah, the local market for professional wrestling in Philadelphia, whether it be Northeast or South Philly or whatever, like yeah, there's ones here and there like MLW running 2300 and here and there other ones, but as far as like local indie shows, doesn't happen a lot. Everything's over in Jersey across the bridge instead of the Philadelphia area. So to see Labor of Love, and not only that, as Joe said before we started,
And that's pretty much like because local was Shakara.
yeah, and a lot of those people that were from Shakara were on the show. I mean, you had people that wrestled there and trained there on this
Worldwide
show.
Dojo.
Yes, Worldwide
Carter.
Dojo is another one. Yeah, and and Catch Point
Catch Point.
as well represented. So, where did this, I guess, idea for Labor of Love come from? Like, how did it all kind of get started?
Yeah, sure. So Labor of Love technically started in 2019. Our original name was Everybody Hits, which was named after a batting cage in, oh, man, Fishtown, Northern Liberties. I'm really bad with geography now.
You're literally it's the same place as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They're they're
Yeah.
like a street from each other.
Yeah, so we did, oh man, I hope the athletic commission isn't watching this. We did a few like under the radar shows, no ring style. One was at a batting cage, the other was at a place called Photo Club, which is I guess Port Richmond, Kensington area. Both were actually really successful. The latter, the Photo Club show, we actually had to turn people away. Both those shows were charities. So again, like it started because my friends and I wanted to do something for the community and almost out of necessity. Like the first one was a benefit show for Hoabin Plaza in South Philadelphia. They were, I guess, in nearly bought out by a real estate company, and some members of the Vietnamese community were kind of pushing back, and they were looking for donations and stuff. So my friend and I were like, how can we, help support this cause? So I guess just to go into it too, yeah, I've been wrestling or involved in wrestling since 2011, and I trained at Chikara.
Okay.
For I guess a little bit over a year, and then I took a little bit of a break and reemerged several years later. So I ended up hitting up friends, like people like the Outfielders, people like Willow Nightingale, before she was signed with AEW,
Yeah, I was gonna
obviously.
say that name has grown substantially over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. I mean, I could go on and on about it. Just a lot of my friends are on TV now, and it's just a wild experience watching that. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, Labor of Love kind of just started accidentally. I
We
I
love
was
happy accidents.
yeah. And again, the second show we had to turn people away, so it's like, all right, we need to find a bigger place and we should probably get a ring and
Yeah,
actually make it official.
yeah,
Uh,
makes sense.
so yeah, I don't know. So I have good relationships with people from the Worldwide Dojo, Cheeseburger. I have good relationships with the people at Catchpoint, Drew Gulak, Wheeler Yuta, Tracy Williams.
Heavy
And
hitters.
I trained at Chikara, so I know a lot of those people as well.
I mean, have friends in low places. Who said that? Garth Brooks?
Yes.
Is that who
Yeah.
said it?
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm
But
not right about these things.
the other thing too is like you bring up a really good point, and it's something that I identified as well. Is like there's a real lack of indie wrestling in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
Unless you're running the ECW arena, which again, MLW Battleground Championship Wrestling, but outside of that, there is very little.
Yeah.
I'm good friends with the people at Pro Wrestling Explosion. They were kind of, running every so often at Philomoka. I think High Tension Wrestling did like a few shows in Philly, but really outside of that, and then there's probably a few others I can't think of right now, but there's not a lot of it.
Hmm.
Which is crazy because Philly's got one of those like unique surroundings to where like you can run in like a bunch of very unique locations. Like I feel like I've been to a few of those very unique locations of like wrestling. And I'm like, man, this is pretty freaking cool. Like Philly's like perfect for that. Like you could do like I feel like pop-up wrestling would be like
Hmm.
would be huge down there. Like you just all of a sudden like, oh yep, send out like the keywords and be like, we're running here, and then like you're at like the back of a bowling alley. Like,
I mean, that sounds great to me. I think one of the main issues with Philadelphia and Pennsylvania specifically is the athletic commission is rough.
yeah,
Uh,
no, we've
I
heard.
don't think people fully understand how much goes into running a show. The financial costs, finding a venue that's down to have wrestling at it. I've been telling a few people recently who have come to me and they're like, "We want to run." I'm like, "Well, the number one thing is like find a venue because if you can find a venue, then you're in good shape." But there are a lot of other parameters too, like you need to have a doctor. You have to have a ringside physician at all of your shows, and they're more expensive than most wrestlers.
Hmm.
Uh,
I could, yeah. I mean, you're a doctor.
Well, yeah.
That would.
I mean, but it's all these things, like, and oftentimes the doctor doesn't end up doing much unless someone gets really hurt. But, these are all things. The athletic commission takes 5% of all ticket sales. Like these things all add up. And then you have to think, hey, I got to pay all my wrestlers. Hey, I got to pay for a ring. I got to pay for,
Pretty thankless job, it sounds like so far.
well, that's why it's called labor of love, right?
Yeah. I mean, good point.
Bada boom.
It is thankless at times, but then a lot of the wrestlers that I book are my friends, and a lot of them you can tell how grateful they are to have a platform, and that's one of the main reasons that I continue to do this. It's not to make money or I don't know, be the next big indie. It's to give my friends or wrestlers who I think are really good a platform in a city that I is very close and dear to my heart. And a city that has a shit ton of wrestling history as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're one of the forgotten wrestling cities at this point. But I mean, having Mania here kind of blew a resurgence back into what I think. Like you get to see because a Philly crowd is, I mean, I know a Mania crowd is one thing, but like when you're in Philly, like there's gonna be a lot of Philadelphians, and we're obnoxious as hell. We're loud, but that all plays well to wrestling. I mean, it's theatrical. You want people to want to partake and enjoy. I mean, that's just that's my 2 cents.
I get it now.
Yeah, those WrestleMania week shows were, I mean, everyone was having the time of their lives. It was cool seeing just like I was so curious when they announced WWE was like WrestleMania is going to be in Philly. I'm like, oh, where are all these indies going to run now? Because they all can't run the UCW arena. And surely enough, like you saw some venues that I didn't even know existed pop up. And no, it was very cool. I mean, me personally, I had the opportunity to work with a bunch of talent, a lot international that I thought, I never could have even dreamt of. People like Daniel Makabe from, I guess he's out in Vancouver, British Columbia, La Estrella from Japan, Dragon Gate, LJ Cleary from Ireland, just like all these people. And it really was. It felt like a fever dream.
Especially for people that love wrestling. Like you're well, you wrestle. You've been in wrestling, and now you're running a wrestling promotion. I mean, you have to like it. Like that. Like what got you to this point?
That's a good question. I mean, I loved it when I was a kid. I think everyone who's been involved with it, obviously yourselves have probably loved it since you were kids. And
Yes.
I'm very obsessive about things, and I was just like, I need to do this. I've spent way too much of my life just watching this and consuming it. Like I need to be a part of it. Um, and that's just my personality. Like even music, like I'm like, oh, I want to play in a band because I love music so much, or I need to write comics because I love comics. Just my personality, I guess. Um, but not to go on a tangent, but I was a big indie wrestling fan when I was a teenager, like specifically like Ring of Honor, when Danielson was around and Nigel McGuinness, and I found out about Chikara from just scrolling around on YouTube. They had those Chikara podcast a go-go's back in the day, and I saw a lot of people that looked, looked weren't the biggest people. I saw like, oh, maybe there is a path for me. I don't need to be 200 pounds and 6'4" um and ultimately it's like that's what I was like, that's where I want to train. And I'm not even from Philadelphia. So at 18, I moved from Massachusetts to Philadelphia because I was like,
Wow. We stole one from the Boston side.
yeah, totally. But no, this city has been I've learned so much here, and like I'm 32 now, so I've been here basically on and off for 14 years, which is crazy to think about too.
So
Back in for the long haul in the area. Foreseeable future, we'll say.
We'll see. Yeah, so my wife is from here, so
Ah,
he loves it.
yeah, you're not
I
going nowhere.
I mean she's the
No,
boss.
yeah, you're not going nowhere.
There's a part of me sometimes that I'm like, oh, I miss Boston. I miss the
Yeah,
North Shore, which is where I'm from, but it is what it is.
Good crabbing out there?
What is it?
Good crabbing out there?
Crabbing, like fish, seafood?
Yeah.
What are we talking?
yeah.
Like going crabbing like.
I'm a vegan.
All right.
Okay. So
So you're not the
But-
best source to ask. Gotcha.
I will say when I did eat seafood, like the lobster is top notch. Like I've been told they have, really good stuff.
All right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I've heard
Yeah.
too.
Have you
I
done
just wanted to
before?
know if I needed to hear like
I've been up to Boston 3 times. I love it up there. I'm also a Celtics fan. So
Okay.
I
like that.
I proposed to my wife at the Flyers Bruins Winter Classic.
Holy crap.
That was a great weekend to be up there. But yeah, I've been to Boston 2 or 3 times, and the other 2 times were for Celtic games, but that time was for the Flyers and Bruins. But yeah, I love Boston, and that's the thing. It reminds me of Philadelphia. Like a lot of the downtown area, like the cobblestone streets, remind me of Old City because you have Old City with the cobblestone. So like, and obviously the very historic feel of Boston with, yeah, I mean, in Center City and Old City and stuff like that. So when I went to Boston, I loved it because I was like, this, I feel almost like home because Philly, and not only that, look, Boston fans and Philly fans, I mean, Boston fans obviously are spoiled with their sports teams and their championships that like the Philly fans are. Hey, look, Philly, we've been getting better. We've been getting better. You had the Eagles win. You had the Phillies win. Calm down. And I'm, first of all, don't act like I'm not a Philly fan. I love the Phillies. I love the
Can we get back to the goddamn show?
Eagles,
Jesus,
or the
Christ.
Sixers, but I love the Flyers. I love the Phillies. So, but
This is a long-winded speech.
What? No. But yeah, no, Boston is great. I love it. That would be my other city. Without a doubt, if I couldn't live in Philly, Boston would be it.
Doesn't
Amazing.
Beyond run up that way?
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Beyond does, yeah.
I'm gonna bring it back to wrestling, okay?
You're one to talk.
Yeah, so speaking of Beyond, I was there, what was it, last weekend? The week before that? I wrestled there for the first time.
First time ever or first time in a while?
First time ever for Beyond.
Okay.
I've known Drew Cordero, the promoter, for a long time now. But yeah, no, it's actually amazing because they started with no fans, and to see where they've grown to where like you have this WWE ID thing, and literally there's like 8 wrestlers from Beyond. It's amazing. Like I give so much credit to Drew. Like he literally, I'm gonna be honest, like people thought he was kind of a joke because people are like, why would you run a show in front of no fans? But he's grown, like the YouTube channel is massive. They have like millions of subscribers. I mean, it's wild. It's truly wild, and I think they have a really
good cult fan base.
They
Yeah.
do. Like I mean, I don't know. I hope I'm not giving away too much. Like, but Drew Cordero told me they like regularly have like 200 people watching their streams, which for an indie, I mean, like outside of GCW, is there anyone else doing anything close to that?
I was just gonna say, when I think of American or just independent wrestling, and this might be because I'm in the Northeast, but I think of Beyond and GCW. Like that, and it's probably because I'm in the Northeast.
Yeah.
But those are the ones, like, because when I watch indie wrestling, it's IWTV, and it's usually Beyond.
Mhm.
They usually have the best shows, in my opinion.
I feel like it's like destination wrestling for a fan if you're traveling, or like that's, I mean, even us included.
I want to make it up.
We always said that. We want to get to a Beyond.
Whatever that
festival.
hall that whatever, I forget what the hell it's called.
White Eagle, right?
Yeah.
White Eagle in Worcester, yeah.
Yeah. Like we've seen so many of their IWTV specials to where it's just like, God, you can feel the energy through the TV. Like you can feel it. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've wrestled at the White Eagle, not for Beyond, as part of their Wrestleval. Sean Henderson ran a show there. And no, you're right. It was because I also watched a number of their shows on IWTV, and then to actually be there was like, it was a cool experience for sure. They have something really special going on there for sure.
Is that like a mini blueprint, like to see some of the other independents that do really well? Is that kind of like the blueprint? Because it on a smaller scale, it can work pretty much anywhere. I mean, as long as you have the cult following, but it doesn't have to be a massive cult following, obviously, to start. Like, I feel like people are just around here because when we went to Labor of Love at Neshaminy Creek Brewing, bring it back to that. I mean, the crowd was really good, minus one asshole. The crowd was really good, and it was exciting. I mean, everything was different. It wasn't like you were watching the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, the variety was there. I mean, I was saying before we got on, or as we were getting on, like the talent that you had there very familiar with. I've been watching them for years now, and it's just like it was cool to kind of see them because when you see them when they're just starting out, like Mikowski, for instance, we saw him when we followed him since he like first started. Like he was like doing that crossover MMA to see where he's at now, like how badass he is. He's honed. Like he's one of those names I'm like, how the fuck hasn't he made it to TV yet? Like this is blasphemy. Like he is a legit badass.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
He's good. Like that was just a for instance. Like the show was great. It was a lot of fun. It was different. The brewery, being in the brewery was awesome. Beers were flowing. It was just a good time.
Yeah, I mean, the Chamonix specifically, I think that room is awesome. There, I mean, like it's not like you're gonna have to worry about too many people or not having enough space. You don't need to worry about hitting your head on the ceiling when you're doing going to the top rope, anything. And on top of that, the people there have been extremely good to us. Not to, turn about the one asshole that you mentioned. That unfortunately, like that really just soured my taste on the whole experience. But I made a post about it on Instagram. But it was one of those things where like a lot of people I don't think heard him, but if you were in that general vicinity, you heard him. And if I was made aware of it, I would have probably kicked him out as soon as possible. Unfortunately, things like escalated pretty bad.
It was like a 5 to 6 minute, like it wasn't like all night. It was quick. Because the only reason I'm saying this, it happened literally.
It was like bang bang. I was literally getting a haircut. I was getting a haircut during the whole thing.
Yeah.
I was. It was like I said. It was an experience. Like this was like I'm watching wrestling, get my hair cut. Now watching a fight. Now it's over. Tip the guy. Get back to the show.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. It was like all I saw the jabbering back and forth, and I looked around. I'm like, this could get ugly very quick.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, you're at a wrestling show. I think people understood. Like people are like, all right, like.
He took it to a level that was a disrespectful level.
No, I mean, like people weren't mad after.
Oh yeah.
Like,
it didn't affect the crowd afterward, but at that point, the one guy was just trying to like stick up for the women wrestlers who were in the ring, and his friend had to get involved, and it got ugly very quickly. I mean, kudos to the staff members. I know there are a couple of wrestlers were the ones who kind of broke it up a little bit.
Yeah, shout out Charlie Tiger who was there.
He had the cut off sleeves and the tank top on.
I believe so.
He jumped in quick. He was right to my right. He was on top of it really quick.
Hey man, you have bouncers that are built into the show.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to have.
It was from my perspective. I don't want to harp on this too much, but it was like heard the glass shatter, and then I saw Charlie pull this guy back. I was like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
And then, I ended up hearing the full story later, but it was just unfortunate. I thought otherwise it was a good show. I think
absolutely
all the matches, at least from my perspective, I thought were really good. You had bands, actually all those bands are bands that I'm fans of, and that's another thing. Like I want people to have an experience. So like
it definitely was.
Maybe if you're not there for wrestling, you're there for the bands, and then you go to see the band, and then you're like, oh, what's this ring? Oh, wait, they're wrestling. Oh, they're very athletic. This is cool. And then you see them come to the next show. And I take a lot of pride in that. Like I think we have a pretty diverse audience. We've had a lot of kids show up to the last few shows. And that's another reason why I was so disappointed, because it's like we've created almost like this family-friendly environment. Then you have this asshole who caused all this ruckus. But anyway, I'm glad that you both were there and could kind of experience it, because
it was cool as hell. I want to see another one. I mean, I know that you might have had a sour taste, but it's everything was perfect. Location, talent, the show, the surroundings,
the space,
everything was perfect.
I'll tell you what, I had my 4-year-old nephew with me, and
he won't shut up about
he won't. Absolutely. So yeah, it's November 18th, and he's been bothering his dad, my buddy, forever since, because he's like, Dad, when are we going to go back and see the wrestlers? Dad, when are we going to see the wrestlers again?
It was a very good. That's how you could tell. Like he wasn't fazed, because he stayed the whole time. He wasn't phased by the background noise. He was there. Right. He was laser focused. One of the guys gave him his glasses.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's just like, this is like the best thing ever.
Yeah, Mikowski did that spot where he ran, where Brian was sitting on the chair, and he ran at him from across the room. Well, my nephew was literally 2 people behind it happening, and Mikowski looked up and high-fived him because he was on my shoulders. Like, he was, oh my God, hooked, amazed.
You
like,
got a lifer now.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, definitely lifer. Like,
was that his first time seeing live wrestling?
Ever.
That's wow, that's so cool. I love that.
So we looked at the card and we were like, this is perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
This is perfect. Because we've seen them all. We've seen everybody do their thing. I mean,
yeah, that's great.
It's very good. But I mean, that's the thing. From 4 to almost 40.
Yeah.
It was a good show.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good age range. I think you got a good demo.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about nowadays, the demos.
That's right.
You got a good demo.
That's what they say, right?
That's only what I hear. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
I just think if people are watching, that's pretty good. I don't think it matters.
Right.
Their age doesn't necessarily matter.
No.
Right.
So you have, I know obviously Sean Henderson has something in the Chamonix coming up December 21st, correct?
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And then Labor of Love has something after the new year?
Okay. Yeah. So we announced it at the show. We're going to announce it online hopefully soon. We're waiting on the graphics and stuff, but I'll say it here anyway. We are going to be at Old Pine Community Center in South Philadelphia, like actually in Philadelphia, really close to South Street. I need to make sure I have the date right. It's in March.
It's in March.
Let me just make sure I have that. I should know this.
Well, you do. You know it somewhere.
March 23rd. That's a Sunday. It's going to be a Sunday matinee. So Sean Henderson has done 2 tournaments in the past. They're called Wrestle Cup. This will be the 3rd edition. I think it's basically done to spotlight maybe, I wouldn't say unrecognized independent wrestlers, but maybe some, I would say, rising stars. And if you were at the show, if you saw the show, you'll know Kurt Robinson qualified for the tournament. He beat Sean Smith. So he will be in the tournament, as well as 7 others. They're all going to be competing for a trophy, and the winner is also going to get a title shot against Cheeseburger, who's our champion.
Ooh. Mikowski better get his ass in that tournament.
Yeah.
And so Mikowski, speaking of which, Mikowski announced at the very end of our show whenever that was in October, that he's challenging Cheeseburger for the Labor of Love Citywide Championship.
So he don't even need the tournament. He's challenging no matter what.
He's won every single match that he's had in Labor of Love, which is quite a few, except one, which was against Mao, who wrestles for DDT.
Okay.
So that is the one small stain on his otherwise perfect record. Yeah.
Well, it happens to the best of us, right?
I don't think he's happy about that loss.
Oh, well, that also happens. Get what you get, and you don't get upset. That's what I tell my kid.
But that's a really honestly it's a beautiful building, Old Pine Community Center. They have like a gymnasium. I think the location is fantastic.
So by South Street, there's a lot. There's a lot going on.
I was going to say, you interviewed Suplex Vintage Wrestling before, right? So we're friends with those people. I don't want to give away too much until everything's ironed out, but I definitely hope to have them involved in some capacity. And then there's just South Street's awesome. There's just so much going on there. I hope to partner with maybe some other local businesses and just make a good time for everyone.
The South Street crowd I could see is like a perfect wrestling crowd.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
Just watch you can just people watch and be like, yeah, this would be a perfect place to like somewhere along here would be a perfect place.
Yeah.
We're gonna fly around that area super hard. I hope we can get a lot of traffic. That's definitely the plan.
I mean,
But
just
no,
having people in Suplex Vintage Wrestling,
Yeah.
when they walk in that store, you already know they're a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
absolutely. But no, I even, nothing against Neshaminy, but they're in Croydon, not Philadelphia. I really it has always been a goal of mine to run
Run in
in
Philly.
Philadelphia proper. So I'm glad to be back in South Philly for sure.
No, that'll be a trek worth trekking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are you all? Where are you all at?
Oh, we're right next to Croydon.
We're
we're in
Oh, all right.
Well, yeah,
we're
we're
in
in
Ben
Salem.
Salem, so we're
Okay.
we were literally 8 minutes from where you ran.
Yeah,
that's why I said
it was a beautiful
it
ride.
was the perfect show
Yeah.
for us.
Do you not to go on a sidetrack? Do you think you'll be at Sean's show in December?
That one's right next to Christmas, right?
December
That one's
21st. I don't know. That's a good. I have to look.
So we looked at the card. I don't know if we're gonna bring the 4-year-old with
Yeah,
us,
because I
it
feel
looks like it's gonna be a
it's
little
more
bit
of a death
fire.
match type show, correct?
It's
I
a
mean,
violent one.
I don't know for sure. I mean, that's another thing. Where I have a good relationship with the venue, we don't have blood on our shows, so I need to talk to Sean. I hope it's not going to be a full-blown deathmatch show. But I mean, Zachary Wentz versus Jimmy Lloyd should be excellent. I don't think they're probably going to do any blood. I don't think there's any need for that. I know John Wayne Murdoch.
Yeah.
Who he's wrestling, which obviously definitely dabbles in the blood. I mean, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm wrestling Giant Tiger, who's definitely not kid friendly. So all right, maybe not a kid friendly.
Yeah, I think
we were leaning that way.
Yeah,
I mean, it looked a little.
We looked at the card, and I'm looking at the names. I'm like, okay, I know what they typically do. I know what they typically do, and I'm like, I actually had to steer my buddy away because I told him, once his kid got into wrestling, that's all he wanted to consume. That's all he wanted to watch. And I started telling him, he's like, well, when is wrestling on? And I was like, well, you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'm starting to go over. I'm like, wait, when? And he turned on AEW, and this is not a knock on AEW. It's just
a
4-year-old doesn't fit in the demo.
Yeah, they don't fit in the demo. And he called me. He goes, dude, that thing on Wednesday nights, I don't know. And I said, I should have told you that it's probably not good for him to watch AEW. WWE is more
frills.
Yeah, more for that he could get into. So I mean, even AEW was a little much for him. So that's why I'm kind of looking around. But yeah, I mean, I like Sean Henderson. We've seen Sean Henderson wrestle a bunch. I love watching him wrestle. But yeah, the Christmas thing is going to be the hardest thing for us, both having young girls and stuff like that. That's going to be hard. But
just because I'm booked up every freaking weekend, around that time. From
no worries. I mean, it's going to be on IWTV, so definitely.
There you go.
Watch it on
I
there.
have that.
Yeah.
Watch it on there at the very least.
Yeah.
That I have on my phone. I could go anywhere with it. And then sometimes it does.
So when you are relaxing and when you would just want to fan out and relax and watch wrestling, what is your go-to? What's your go-to? What do you like watching?
Honestly, I think we were talking about this before we recorded, but I watch a lot of the TV wrestling just almost out of convenience. A lot of it, WWE I've watched since I was a kid, and I don't think I've really. I've been following it religiously ever since. Obviously, the product has varied in quality over the years, but I think right now it's pretty strong. I watch AEW a lot. Again, I mentioned this earlier. A lot of my friends are on there, which is really cool. I mean, I watch a little bit of everything. I watch, New Japan, CMLL. I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable at all facets of wrestling, to be honest with you. If something is on, I'll watch it.
Now, will you shut it off and just watch it and just be like, just invest yourself in it, or do you find yourself critiquing? Thank you.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have that mindset, that critique. It really depends. But honestly, I try to shut it off. Um, I would say if I'm watching indie wrestling, I'm probably more critical because I can see myself in those spaces. Um, WWE, AEW, I think I can kind of just watch and enjoy it for what it is. Because they're true professionals. I'm not. So, I mean, like, I'm just gonna take it in. I think indie wrestling is maybe where I can be a little bit more critical, which I think is good because if you're running an independent wrestling promotion, you should probably be a little bit critical, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, well, it's almost like a game plan. I mean, not only that, but you see what's out there and you're like, I'd like to have him on my show. I'd like to
I
have
mean,
her on my show.
100%. And I don't, there's no one I like dislike. I see someone like, oh, I would never book them. It's not like that, but maybe I'll see someone that really catches my eye, and I'll
Yeah,
be like, would be a really good fit, and even Labor of Love specifically.
yeah.
And there's a few talent, like I honestly like. I don't mean to boast or anything, but I think we were one of the first indies in the United States to book Fresh Air, and now they're the IWTV Tag Team Champions. I feel like I had my eyes on them before a lot of other indie companies did. Um, just people like that I'm like, they seem like they would be really fun to bring in and would be get over really well with our crowd. So that's really fun too. Or, you see a talent that maybe hasn't wrestled in Philadelphia before, and you're like, I'd love to be the first to bring them in, or even to Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? So that's always a real treat as well.
So is there a pet peeve being a professional wrestler? Is there a pet peeve that you see guys do or girls do that you look at it and you're like, kind of makes your skin crawl? Like, God, I wish they wouldn't do that. Is there something watching, whether it be indie or on, you know what I mean, TV wrestling that kind of bothers you in wrestling?
Like an unprotected chair shot.
Or anything?
So a pet peeve of mine. I think I've talked to my friend who is a referee. His name's Dan Yost. He's been around for a while.
Yeah, that name sounds very, very
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah, CZW ref.
Yeah.
So Dan has brought this to my attention, and I definitely agree. Just like I think there's tag team wrestling is kind of a lost art. Like people
Preach.
sometimes will forget who the legal person is. Like I don't think that's great. That's definitely probably a pet peeve of mine. Um, Other than that, I don't like matches that go too long unnecessarily.
Yeah. Too
Little
many near
thing.
falls.
There's not a whole lot. I mean, if I saw a match and you're putting me on the spot a little bit here. By and large, I'm not super critical.
Okay.
But every now and then something will happen. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I honestly like booking, I would say is actually like bad booking is a pet peeve, or like booking that doesn't make sense. Like if you have a DQ finish 2 matches in a row, like that kind of thing actually does kind of piss me off. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, go.
Or-
We got from very minor pet peeve to something that actually.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, I'm like, well, watching a match is like, there's not a lot that I hate, but now from a booking standpoint, like, oh, you want me to be critical about someone else's booking? I'm like, WWE and AEW, I'll get critical of booking a lot, actually. Not the matches per se, but we want to talk about booking. I'm just like, maybe I would have done that a little bit differently. And I'm not saying that like I have the answers or anything, but just to throw something out there, and I don't want to. I feel like an idiot being critical of Tony Khan because this dude's built a massive empire, but like. I think I would have had Darby Allin beat Bryan Danielson in Seattle for the title. Like I don't know, just like little things like that. It's like Moxley's already won the title like 3 times. Did he really need to beat Bryan? But then I read online that Bryan really wanted Mox to beat him. So what the hell do I know?
Well, look, I mean, you're like you said before, you're still a wrestling fan. I mean, it's bred
passion.
into you. Exactly.
Yeah, it's passion.
You love doing it. You love watching it. So there are things you're going to pick apart. I mean, that's why the podcast world exists, so we can come on here and bitch and complain about
I don't
things
do that
like,
at all.
Yeah, you don't ever do that, especially when we're talking AEW. You don't ever do that.
I just want them to be better.
Yeah, but I mean, no, that's they're valid. I mean, what you're saying is valid. It's the one thing that I know both of us talk about a lot is the repetitiveness of some matches. And I'll say AEW over top because I think it's the most glaring.
I'd say the style, it's like the same thing over and over.
It's the. I mean, look, we're not wrestlers. We're only fans. We've only just watched this. But so like us criticizing really doesn't mean a lot. We don't get paid to do it, but watching it, we know what we like and what we don't want to see. And seeing 50 super kicks on one show or Canadian destroyers back to back to back to back and no selling like it was a clothesline or a punch, like that's that stuff that people that want to get invested and believe your story and get invested in the match can take people out of it. It takes us out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's not good. You know, if it's taking you out of it, then that's definitely not good. And I think your opinion's valid for sure.
It's just there's so much out there. I mean, really, the wrestling world is huge. Like you literally don't have to watch. I'd say 7/8 of it, and you still have a shit ton of wrestling to fucking watch.
I mean, it's a great thing. Like, hey, you don't like AEW, watch WWE. You don't like WWE either, watch New Japan. You don't like New Japan, there's something out. Like, go on IWTV and you'll find and that's a really good thing. Like, I think wrestling as a business is on fire right now. Like, it is so hot. I can't even remember a time when it felt like it was cool to watch wrestling. You know what I mean? Wrestling's happening right now.
Yeah. The late 90s, early 2000s was the only time where you could walk around with a DX shirt, an NWO shirt, and you know what I mean? And it was the cool thing to wear. You know what I mean? Right. Now
I see people rocking shirts all the time. Like out in the wild. It's like crazy. Seeing a guy, what was he wearing? A Bam Bam Bigelow shirt? Just nowhere. That's a cool one.
But that's the thing. You can do that now. Again, like you said, it's cool to be a wrestling fan again. I mean, even though it's bullshit. The Rock saying that he made wrestling cool, but that the wrestling is cool again. Like it's not because of the Rock, but it's because of what wrestling is. What wrestling has
really
become.
got mad at that.
Well, yeah, because he takes fucking credit for making wrestling cool. It wasn't fucking the Rock. He's not the savior of professional wrestling.
But what if he is?
He's not. That's the point. Like professional wrestling is cool again, but it's been getting and gaining this steam.
I didn't know you felt this way. I'm gonna have so much more fun.
I think, like you said, between obviously the two big companies and then Impact, I feel like gets overshadowed a lot, and a lot of their stuff has been amazing.
Well, they stepped up. They're working with WWE now. I mean, it's like
exactly.
like noticeably different.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, that's a good point. Like, I follow along with like the news and stuff, but I don't watch Impact, and I heard they're killing it. You're right. There's no reason
because there's so much to watch that like I don't think there's enough time in any day of any week to just consume all of it. Good for the people that do and whoever can, but there's so much out there.
There is a ton, absolutely. Yeah.
But live shows in Philadelphia could potentially be getting greater.
Yeah, that's what we hope for.
That's what we're hearing. We're hearing on the streets now that there's South Philly wrestling coming back.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't know, but I'm going to Angelo's if I go down there.
Absolutely.
When I go down there.
Yes.
I'm hitting Angelo's. That's all there is to it.
So,
sorry, you're a vegan, but I'm getting a cheesesteak.
So aside from obviously March 23rd, is there anything that you want to promote going
Well, you're
forward.
going to be on Sean Henderson's the 21st.
Yeah.
December 21st.
So December 21st, Sean Henderson. Oh man, what else? Well, check out Catchpoint. Just check them out if you have any interest in being a wrestler, being a referee, being an announcer, commentator. I think they're even opening that. Like, check out Catchpoint.
How hard is it to become a referee? Just a scale of 1 to 10.
Are you contemplating it?
I mean, I feel like I'd be really good at it.
I mean, you might be.
I feel no, I just feel like I will. Like conditioning, I'm there.
So a lot of referees usually go through the same training as a wrestler would.
Oh, all right. So you're taking bumps. Oh man, I'm 38. I don't know. I don't know about that. Now I'm starting to think.
But you might. I mean, I don't know. If you actually have genuine interest, I would absolutely reach out to Catchpoint. I think they're great. I mean,
I wish time would allow that. That would be amazing. I wish I was 10 years younger.
It's just a great facility. It's very close to where I live, which also helps.
Yeah, it's run by some pretty good people too.
I mean, you got Gulak, you got Hot Sauce, who I think is tremendous, Wheeler Yuta, the rep who you had on.
Yeah.
I mean,
We had Yuta on too before he big timed us.
did you really?
Yeah, we was a 2-time. I was happy as hell when I saw Yuta in AEW.
Absolutely.
Happy as hell. Like he
cool.
he earned that one. Like,
Yeah,
big time. Like,
he's such a good dude too. Like, he's one of the ones where like I watch and I'm just like, hell yeah, you know?
yeah, like that was a great, like before he left, that heel turn that he had, that was fucking amazing.
He's one of my favorite parts of the show. I think even if he wasn't my friend, I would still be super invested in that character. It's very cool. But now I'm trying to think Sean Henderson. There's definitely other crap I have going on. There's a show in Darby, Pennsylvania, IJW and Keystone Championship Wrestling.
Oh, I think I might have seen this poster.
That is December 1st. So yeah, you can check that out. I think Keystone Championship Wrestling has a Facebook. All the info should be on there. Frankie Picard, myself, Brew Vallon, maybe some guys that aren't necessarily on your radar, but it should be a fun time, I think. But outside of that, no, like I thought we weren't gonna run again until March, but now it seems like there's a good possibility we're gonna be running in January. Something came up. I had a talent who I'm a big fan of, a good friend of mine, is coming to the United States for the first time since Mania weekend. I don't want to give too much information away, but they're like, hey, do you have a show in January? I'm like, nope, I don't, but maybe I can make it happen. So follow Labor of Love on Instagram. Everything will be up on there when we announce it. But no, I think something's probably happening.
Pop-up wrestling shows we were talking about earlier.
I at one point, you know, the movie Field of Dreams.
Of course.
Like, what is it? If you build it,
they will come.
Yeah, if you build the ring, then the people will come. You know?
Yeah,
There it
absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Ring of Dreams. Like it.
exactly. I've actually thought of that as a show name. I'm like, is that stupid name? I don't know.
No, because
if you could model it, you should model it after Wayne's World, though.
I
They
mean,
do a Wayne stock.
you could do.
If you build it, they will come.
Look, you can do multiple, but I mean, Ring of Dreams, it writes itself.
Oh,
like you just there, you have the tagline right there. If you build it, they
all
will
you
come.
all
Like,
you
got
all
it.
you
Maybe
need
I'm
is
gonna
one
I'll
big
have to make-
surprise name on that one. You can't announce it. You'd have to have one big surprise for Ring of Dreams.
Yeah.
back from the dead.
Well, I don't know if you're going to bring anyone back from the dead.
Yeah, I don't
think
know
Ring
about that.
of Dreams might be a little bit better. Back from the dead. I mean, that's good on a Halloween show.
Well, isn't that what Field of Dreams is? Like all these like
Well,
ghosts?
yeah, but I don't think we want to have dead wrestlers show up.
I mean, depending on who it is.
but I don't think they're going to look too good.
They look pretty good in that movie, don't they?
They
Yeah,
do.
I mean, if you guys could get the cast and the makeup people, I think you'll be good.
What if aren't those holograms big now? Didn't they like bring
I
back
think
all
they
these?
I think they fizzled out. Like I think they came and went like really quick.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind seeing a hologram of Macho Man in the middle of a ring again. I'm just saying.
I mean,
Someone
maybe.
wrestles the hologram. I don't know.
I mean, Jimmy Lloyd would do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
He would definitely do it.
He's definitely he's got his ass kicked by the Invisible Man.
Yes. Joey Janela did too, right?
Yeah, Janelle did too. Oh wait, no, Jimmy Lloyd was the ref.
Jimmy Lloyd was the ref. It was
That's
Janela.
right. It was Janela that got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
He's a nut.
Who's that? Janela?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
He was part of the original crew. The original AEW crew got let go.
Yeah.
He was one of the OGs.
Doing good though now. Like it seems like he's much happier doing what he's doing now.
Yeah, he's back. He's back where he belongs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the Indies is where he really thrives. I think.
Yeah. Well, he books too, doesn't he? Doesn't he book the shows or help to book the shows?
He has some in. I don't think he. Yeah,
Right.
I don't think he's on show or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Oh no, he does the spring break. He does that. Yeah, you're right.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So he's got a show.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Was partially right.
Well, Billy, thank you so much for taking the time talking with us. It was good talking to you. We can't wait for the next, maybe even January, instead of having to wait till March.
Please. You're always welcome. Absolutely.
I'm
really
gonna wait for that story. That story's gonna be nice.
Yeah, we can't wait to see when you guys pop up in January. Obviously, March. We will definitely be looking
we're
out
heading
to
down
go
to
down
South
Street
Philly.
for sure.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That will be really good. I think that show's going to be stacked. So
Good. We can't
We
wait.
look forward to that one.
Yeah. So thank you once again. It was good talking to you, and we look forward to seeing what you guys have going on in the future. And thanks again. Appreciate it.
thank you very much.